Hi, I'm Adnan Mahmutovic, and this is Love and Its Discontents podcast. I have great pleasure to welcome my friend Adli Jacobs from South Africa to this episode, where we're going to talk about the burning bush, which is a really cool subject. And it's As always, it's a great pleasure to have these opportunities to talk to friends about things that have been on my mind and their minds. And a lot of times, our thoughts seem to connect and collapse across time and space, and we get into these really beautiful discussions on things that we love. So without further ado, Adli, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, wa alaikum salam.
Hello.
Shukran so much.
Uh, I, I would say this is a long time in the making. We have had lots of really beautiful exchanges online, and I've been wanting to speak to you in this manner, and so that we do it, for a kind of bigger audience. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, for the people who don't know you?
Yeah, from the 80s, I've been an activist against apartheid, part of an organization called the Call of Islam. Very small organization, largely in the Cape, but also in other parts of the provinces in South Africa. But since then, I've been involved in media as a writer at one level, but also a designer. And then as time went on, I actually got involved or decided to focus on heritage in South Africa, and in particular Muslims in South Africa. At the Cape. It had a wonderful connection. It's got a wonderful history inside of it. And I thought to capture on some of those elements. And yeah, and so I've been writing as a blog writer. And through it, I've been writing poetry and focusing on one level, it's the heritage, but also Sufism because that's also very a love, one of my loves of the process, and of course I've been learning a lot around the process.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. It actually it corresponds to a lot of things that I've been doing. There's almost like a mirror image of several of my own characteristics, and especially my activities, only in a different context.
Yeah.
Since this is a podcast about love, and of course you brought us in on Sufism, kind of almost immediately, but um, not necessarily connected to that. But I always start these conversations with the question, "What is love to Adley Jacobs?" So, what
And
is love?
it's always a loaded question from your end. I've watched so many of your podcasts before on love. In particular, it's the reason why we've kept this connection on Facebook. And it's a very good question. I mean, love is not like I said, it's a loaded question in many ways, simply because at one level, I mean, I love my family very much, my children, my grandchildren, but in part of my Sufism, love is far bigger than that. And to say big, it's a very small word in a sense, because it is more loaded. Because in a way, it's not just something that comes through your head, but more from the heart. And then at that part of the heart, it moves all over the place. I love that part of Rabia, given all of her struggles, and despite the fact that her experience and her suffering, she still held on to that elusive part, that part that they can't see. They can't even describe the whole idea, which is quite a powerful thing about love. I mean, how do you hold on to that, But also the testing of it. I mean, like when I had my stroke in 2018, I lost everything that I held on to, in terms of what in my mind, in terms of what I wanted to do, where I was going, but the part was I actually survived it, and in recovering from that stroke, it made me a wonderful test of what is love really, my divine, and what does it expect of me, and that's been my search of that time, even now. I mean, like when I say my love of my wife, for example, it's a different matter than a love of the divine, even though there are lessons inside of it. I'm thinking of my mom. She has a very different type of response. She struggled with her own writing and reading. I used to teach her how to recite her Quran. As a child. I was about 12 years old. But and she's passed now a good couple of years ago. But I hold on to her, and in terms of that experience, and there's a wonderful, for me, a lesson of love, that I hold on to this woman, that my connection in terms of my DNA, but also her style, the way she cooks and how she speaks. It's exactly in that whole process, Can you imagine it? That this is love, that love is not just an idea of written words or a description, a slogan. It's way beyond that, It's that it's like right inside of your skin and your heart. And well, to say in my heart, it's quite a quick way of just saying that, but it's not that quick to answer. So I hold on to those types of elements, of precisely my connection to everything that I'm connected to, and all of those variations, in other words, coming together. For me, it's part of that divine. For me, in many ways, it's teaching me how to grasp the divine. For me, of all of those experiences and all of those things that we still hold on, and the fact that if I had Parkinson's, it would be quite a challenge of the process, because in the end, and that's why that stroke was a very good experience for me, because now all the words are gone. Now what are you holding on to now? And my recovery after all of these years, for me, that has been a wonderful experience of the love of my daughters and my son and my grandsons, with how the responses and their questions and what they require, and it's all over the place. You can't even hold it together, because whatever they're doing responds to what they want, the type of sweets or where I must take them. For me, that's all part of the love for me.
Well, that's really amazing. I love that the way you kind of moved in all directions. There is this like I want the moment you think it's this, then you say, oh, but how about that over there? And then how about that over there? So you start, you keep moving. There is something about love that it is something that moves, that makes you move, but that also stabilizes you
Yeah.
in ways that I loved what you said about this. Well, at some point in time, you were taught how to speak,
Mm.
right, and how to read, and then you had that kind of really endearing moment when you are teaching your mother. Or how to read the Quran, for instance, or something like that. I think
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. There is that kind of reversal, but this moment which you described about your stroke and losing language, which is a horrible experience in a sense because it really questions like you cannot express yourself, you cannot communicate. You mentioned communication. How do you convey this and that? How do people talk to you if you don't respond, if there is no back and forth?
Mm.
Uh, this was another one of those things which I felt now. I didn't actually know this about you, but now that I heard you speak about this, I found another thing that we have in common. Of course, I didn't have a stroke, but when I came to Sweden as a refugee, I had this existential crisis where I kind of lost language. So I felt like I had to learn from scratch, like how to speak in any language, really, my mother tongue, the new language of the country, all that. So I feel I recognize that experience that you went through, that somehow something's not quite right in the body, in the
Yeah.
brain, and then you're looking for that language, and there are these somehow love kind of comes through that struggle
Yeah.
in a way. And
No.
we also know who else struggled with language and with speaking, and that's Moses,
Oh yeah.
right? Because that was also one of those things which you and I have often had exchanges about Moses. We talked about Moses on
Yeah.
social media. We have been writing about Moses. It's kind of a little bit of an obsession of
Yeah.
ours, I would say, the character of Moses, because
Mm.
he when he is called to be a prophet, to be a rasul, to be the messenger to Pharaoh, basically he says, but you must be mistaken. I'm not up for the task. I can barely speak. I have a speech impediment, right?
Wow. Good one.
and
Yeah.
and yet he is the chosen one. You would say, by any measure, you would say, oh, well, he's not, cut for that. He's
Yes.
not. So there are two moments. The one is that he's chosen despite that. So that handicap in his mind, it's a handicap. Um, and in that moment when he does that, he realizes, well, okay, maybe, but I still have to honor this. I still have to answer the call, but I kind of need help. Maybe my brother can help me, right? So,
Yes.
right?
Harun.
Yes. So there is that kind of, but I love my brother, trust my brother. Maybe we can do this. So this sharing, right? That
Yes.
that he wants it immediately to share this with someone is kind of what you were articulating in about love. That it is some
Yeah.
kind of a sharing of something that is very dear to you. It's very close to you. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, or that
No, it's
maybe
quite a
you were like
fascinating.
Moses.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the fact that you just mentioned, I mean, like I've always known that he had a stutter, you
Mm,
know, and I've always been in my mind, at the back of my mind, and just saying it. I mean, like it's very much just an aphasia that is coming back,
yeah, yeah,
and among of all the various people out there to be chosen,
yeah,
to actually choose this guy,
yes, yeah,
I mean, and then to, I mean, like, what I liked about it? So the one part is with Harun, let me, I'm gonna take my brother with me, because he speaks a bit better, clearly better than me, you know. But the point was that wasn't the choice, even though he was also a prophet, but it was Musa because of his heart. You
Yes.
know, I mean, he's the guy who went out into the desert because he couldn't help when amongst the Pharaoh, amongst these armies, they were the one killing the other, you know, and when he beat, he just operated on his heart and just killed him, and then he had to flee and go out into the desert, you know, and that is the guy who then gets chosen,
Yes.
you know, that a fire will burn up on a mountain, and then getting to climb on that mountain to go and have this discussion. But what I liked about the part that we talked about in Facebook is that the fire itself, we get absorbed in the in the fire, but that's not the focus, you
That's right.
know.
That's
In
right.
fact, the fact from one verse it talks about they go up. He goes up the hill, up the mountain. But the next verse, it had taken the fire out of the process
Yes.
because
If I may backtrack a little bit for our viewers, so what we talked about was the fact that, and this is something I feel that there is a process that I often have as a well scholar and a writer, is that I sometimes see these things which are kind of odd, you know, something that I have these realizations where I think, okay, well, I'm thinking of one thing, but why am I thinking that? And then when I look at the text, it's not there. And why is it not there? Like, why do I have this image and not, you know, and it's not there
yes,
in the text? And you know, I tend to notice these kinds of weird moments. So in this case, what I wrote to you was that basically I, my whole life when I hear, for instance, the phrase "the burning bush," you know, that's yeah, the burning bush. That is an image that everyone knows of. You know, in the entire world, you don't need to be a Jew or a Muslim or Christian or you know, you know that image. You know that it's very iconic. It's one of the probably you know globally most kind of well-known images of oil. Uh, and so many times I've you know read the Quran and you know every time you know when I imagine that scene, I imagine that you know God is speaking from that burning bush, which is there in the Old Testament, as you
yeah,
said. But then this time, you know, I'm reading it, and there is only one verse, one ayah uh, that depicts the scene, and it only says that God speaks from the shajara. And shajara is here it's translated as bush, but it you know usually means a tree,
yeah,
and that's all. There is no fire there at all. I was thinking, where is the fire? It doesn't mention the fire. Why does it mention the fire? Because you would think that why would you know why would you omit you know
yeah,
that thing which is so attractive you know that bursting fire and it's not there, it's just the tree, the voice comes from the tree. So why do I you know then always think of, well, yes, it is because of you know the Bible, but still when the Quran doesn't mention something, the question is why? Is it an omission or is it important? Uh,
yeah,
what is it trying to say with you know this omission? And then you know, so this is a little bit of a preface, and then
yes,
you came in and explained this to me really beautifully. Maybe you can outline it a little bit and tell me, you know, how you were thinking about this, because there are two verses, there are two ayahs which mention the fire, but
yes,
not in the moment when God is speaking from the tree or the bush.
yes. It's a issue of orientation, you see. the wonderful thing is, I mean, like when the Prophet Muhammad also went up the mountain, went into the sky um, with the and we get lost in the elements of it because the horse, the flying horse, and we get wrapped up in that,
Yes.
you know,
The
and the
spectacle.
point, and it's just a journey, and then it gets to the Sijra,
Yeah.
the angel says, Jibril says, I'm standing here, I'm stepping, I can't go with you. You go in, okay? I must stay on the edge here, you know. So there is the tree once more, but the tree is not burning.
It's not
It's
burning.
again,
No.
it's an orientation. It
Yes.
is come to the direction. It's the thing that is rooted, the thing that is
Yes.
grounded, you
Yes.
know. That is the elements. And the point is, all you got to do is you got to listen.
Yes.
That is the pose. And again, there's some elements in there where Allah talks about his fu'ad, in his breast. That's the point. It's the heart and the breast. That is the thing, not this part,
Yeah.
not the head part, not the mind part, not the brain. And that's what we get wrapped up in. That's the focus. So that is why that mind wants to see the fire. That mind
Yeah.
wants to see. I mean, even the tree itself. The tree itself is actually not the issue. It's
No.
the
No.
conversation.
Yes.
It's like that is why I had the discussion with my mom. And
Yeah.
now I'm not thinking about her, about actually what she looks like. It is the engagements we had. It's the love we had. It's the fact that she would listen to my foolishness as a 16-year-old, and then I'm listening to her because she needed me to teach her how to recite and then read the Quran. But it's not even that. It's the fact, it's the connection.
Yes.
It's sitting with me, my son, listen to me, teach me this, but it's about love me, hold on to me, you know, because once the love is connected, whatever else happens doesn't matter. If she's to scream at me, it doesn't matter. If she swears at me, it doesn't matter. The point is, in fact, I would enjoy that swearing because that one moment, one more opportunity of listening to that voice of her, saying, don't do that stupid thing that you're doing, or just give me my bloody tea, you fool. It's those moments that, I mean, like I have this whole engagement with my wife. We fall out a lot because as we get older, we're getting weaker than we were before, and we don't have those opportunities than what we had before. But the point is, we hold on to that love simply because we didn't have. It's not about the mind and explaining and saying I love this woman because of her name and her surname and what it was that she did and what she and her education. No, that's not, we're missing the point.
Yes.
But that is that whole part I loved that you raised. I went back to that line. I was thinking because, and I went back to the story because that you had to the sandals off, take off your sandals.
Yeah.
So I always thought, yeah, the fire, yeah, and he would sit there and he's gonna sit there and then in glow, like imagine, like looking at it and like, oh my God,
Yes.
there it is, something that almost like a statue, here it is,
Yeah.
and now you speak with that focus.
Yeah.
No, but that
Yeah.
the line doesn't make any of the descriptions.
Yeah.
It actually, the voice begins, the voice speaks,
Yeah.
but the actual words wasn't actually coming through his ears.
Mm.
It was actually coming there. That's where the fire was.
Yes. But that's what the
That was
fire
the,
was. Yes.
that's what I loved.
Yeah.
It was, and that's why I used the word orientation. It's the orientation. We must find the right orientation, and we must travel. We must travel to get there. And once, whether it's up the sky or up into the heavens or up the mountain, you must take the travel or out into the desert, next to the sea. And there is the fish that disappears. And there, once again, it gets lost. The fish goes away. The fish is not the issue. You had to go and have a discussion with Khidr.
Yeah.
Who does it look like? Was it in green? We don't know. But does it matter? It doesn't matter. Do you love him? Do you love it? Do you love at the moment? That's the question. And that for me, it's the fact you drew me right back into that person. I thought, wow. I mean, because I put all of that as you introduced me now in the beginning. All of those things come together for me. All of those things are in it. That's the one thing I liked about the Quran. The Quran has, we were taught, we would have think that it is in a logic form. Because here you have the chapter, it has a beginning, it has its elements, it's like little small subheads all the way until the conclusion. That's not the Quran, that's not the verse, that's not a chapter. Chapter doesn't work like that. The chapter goes all over the place. That's why I love my mother. And women. Women's style of males have this logical part. And we think through and we say, wait, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that. No. We put them all together. They're almost in a mix. I had this woman, we had this interview many times. She's a very good friend of mine, almost like my mom. Now, when she's talking, her mind goes all over the place. I have to listen very carefully because she's telling me a story that happened in 1997. And then the other part of the story, even though she jumped into the other one, this is 2014, right? And I have to focus and I have to listen to her. Simply because, and then after a while I realized, no, that's my problem. I'm looking for the numbers. I'm looking for the 1995 and 2017 or whatever. That's my problem. My problem is just listen to her and listen as she explains the issue and the fact that I love this woman and I love this friend. And so I listen to her, and when she's done, I take the best parts that I can out of it and I say to her, this is what it is. Do you want me to talk about this part, or do you want to, the Quran works like that.
Yes.
The Quran jumps. Doesn't have all of the logical parts in it. And the fact that it's not logical, in other words, illogical, it doesn't mean that it is lesser. It doesn't mean that it's terrible or messed up idea. No. That is what's happening there. It should have been happening here.
Yes.
And this part, and that's what I loved. The fact that you talked about what is happening at the tree.
Yes,
what it was.
When you ask that question, and I love the word orientation, it speaks to me a lot. It corresponds to, of course, the tawbah, the turning, that you're always kind of, wherever you are, you turn towards God. That means you're orienting yourself towards God. So in a sense, Moses there is lost, but he realizes, I'm never really lost. I'm never ever lost. So when he leaves Egypt, he's in the desert. He says, I'm a faqir, I have nothing. Help me. So that means he has orientation. He doesn't know where he is. He has orientation. He sees these girls that he needs, that need help. He comes, he has an orientation. He knows the ethics. He moves to them and says, oh, can I offer some help? May I help you? I have nothing, but I have these two hands. I can help you. Yeah. When he, as you say, it's really interesting there, because what you pointed out, that aside from the verse, so just one single verse of all the ayahs that has that scene. Just one. You know, there's so much repetition of other things, but that's the singular one with the voice speaking from the tree. There are two ayahs which almost verbatim repeat the way he spots the fire. So as you said, so before this scene, he spots the fire, and in another surah, so there is that is like, so both of these are connected to this, but they are in different surahs, they are in different chapters. So it looks
Yeah.
like messed up, but it's really actually
It's all
pointing,
connected.
directing, orienting. Right? And as you said, so he is seeing the fire or something that looks like a fire, you know, something that he identifies as fire. And he's the first his thinking is like, okay, there's probably people over there. And he says to his family, wait here. So it could always be dangerous, fire danger. You know, you don't know what's over there, but it could be also something good. So he says to them, wait here. I'll go there and I will get maybe at least one of two things. One is khabar, which is information.
Yeah.
So he thinks, oh, there's probably some information there about something that I need. You know, maybe I can ask someone again. And the other is maybe I can at least get a little bit of like a torch. I can get some of that fire to warm you up. Right. So it's very domestic. It's very kind of ordinary. You know, there's people there. They're around the campfire. I'll get some fire, and maybe they tell me directions, orientation, maybe. You know, and so when he arrives there, the fire disappeared. There's no fire. Where is the fire? The fire is gone. Now it is just the tree and the voice and the communication. That was really beautiful when you said that. I was like, it was amazing, like this kind of displacement of the fire out of the picture, like God basically just like the fire was like it's an attraction. It catches your attention, right? All those things, the mind, the all that typical stuff, that the usual mundane stuff, and then suddenly like he removes it from the picture, and there's something else rooted there, something really quite different. So that's not spectacular as you say. Oh, the fire is not focus; it's something else.
But that's exactly it, eh? Because, but that is modernity. We're looking for the spectacle.
Yes.
You see, we're looking for the lights must be switched on, the TV must switched on, and then there's an advert must come up, and that will be the focus. And so we go to the advert, yes, give us some KFC, because there it is, but you set up this meeting because it happened by chance, infrequently. You looked at this, you saw my line, you thought, I think we actually need to have a discussion on this.
Yes.
And that is the point.
That is
The
the
point
point.
is, that those things that you didn't expect to do, those are the ones actually. I mean, that's how I got married. That's how I met my wife at university. I met her by chance. I loved her smile. Right? That was the fire was coming out. And then the next time I wanted to see her once more. Because it was that smile and the way that she looked and the way that I could see it at the time. That the point is, we then got connected, and then we held on to that connection.
Yes.
So now, if something were to go wrong, or something that happens where we are fighting or struggling or whatever, if we are in our humanity, we would say, well, it's done now, it's over. I've had enough. I'm going to divorce, or whatever the case may be. The point is, how much do you know about love? What did you grab when you took that spark to begin with? And how much have you held on?
Yeah.
And what you've been invested later, and what had been grounded in the process. And we've done so much. I mean, we've got 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son. My one daughter has got two more sons, 2 grandsons for me. These are the investments. That comes from the DNA of my wife and mine. But not only that, I've had my stroke. They invested in me. They
Yes.
helped me. They taught that despite the fact that I couldn't come up with their names, the actual names, they still held on to it. And that is, I mean, like, here comes the voice on the mountain. The voice was it. All of those those words that came through from that voice, because that's all that he had. It was basically a voice. He held onto it, went to Pharaoh, and took on the war, took on the fire, took on the engagement, and because his heart was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that heart of his, after everything happened later, he said to Allah, I need some more insight. I need some Sufism. I need more insight. I need something bigger. And Allah could have said, I can speak to you, give you the voice once more. But he didn't. He said, you must take a walk. And it may take for days, for years. You can actually walk for years. And you must follow the fish. And then, when it turns, that is where you will find my companion for you.
Yeah.
And that's how we met Khidr, and then some more complicated words that happens, and engagements that happens. But that is how the divine actually works. I mean, this is what Sufism should be about. That it's precisely that moment. Forget about the murshid. You've been taught to something, and what have you invested in? That's the issue. It's not about the dhikr itself.
Yes.
It's what are you grounded in, and then what have you taken with you? And because you will have to walk, you will have to travel, you will have to experience, and it's going to be a hard journey as you do this, But that's what I love, those elements. And that is why I love the whole issue that I talked about, orientation, finding the right orientation. And then it's about beginning to see the various elements to it. The reading, the encounter, and then what you pull in, and then what you take with you. And now you move,
Yes.
because it's not a it's not a literal intellectual thing. You see, the thing is, in academia, we basically say, there's the written piece. Got it? Nice piece, eh? Very interesting. Oh, I love it. Thank you for this. The point, it's not just that. It's bigger than that. It's about reading it, now slowly looking at the words of it, and then you're taking out the best parts out of it. And you put that into your, and you take that with you, That's what it should be. That is what learning should be. This is now for me. I'm talking, my discussion here is what has happened to me. This is how it came from 2014, 2018 until now. I've taken almost everything along those type of engagements of having to speak and read all the way until where I am now, And so, I've always been one of patterns. I loved elements of it, seeing but again, I've had to reorientate myself and say, listen, you've made these square boxes, and maybe it shouldn't be these round boxes. Maybe they should be a little bit more messy. Maybe they are interwoven completely. And then you must be able to make sense of that and throw your heart into that process. That's what's been happening with my design. That has been coming. That is what's been happening with my new writing, with my essays that I've been writing about. I'm jumping all over the place. I did one of James Brown. He's 93 years old, and I put that on my Facebook deliberately. Partly because I love James Brown. I love his music, right? But the point is, I know that people are going to say, what the hell? Why is he putting that part in there? The point is, that's how it works, you know. Thank God for all of these friends that I have, these wonderful kids that I have, these daughters, and my son, and I all of these elements, and all of them very unique on themselves, and all of those things are part of this family, and that is the engagement. That
That
is the orientation,
is,
So yeah,
that is, uh, you're really summing it up. Like you're really pulling out all the essential parts because I'm thinking what you've articulated throughout several times is this principle in the Quran, which is that when you ask the question, ask the question, the essential question. So you surely you have the framework, you have these, let's say, the visuals, the sounds, whatever, all those things. But what is the orientation, as you say? I tended to always go back to the story about the cow that the Israelites are supposed to sacrifice, which for me was always that lesson in like, well, you pay attention to the unimportant things. Is it supposed to be yellow? How big? All that. It's like, who cares? It's what you're supposed to do, not what the cow looks like, and it's the head, all that stuff. So in every story there is that kind of a lesson, like the sleepers in the cave. How many were they? Well, who cares? What's the point of the sleeping? And the moving and the waking and that orientation, as you say. The story with Khidr, when Moses is, meeting him, and Moses is like always going into these details there, like, but you could have done this, but why didn't you do that? But how about that wall? And where's the fish? And all those things. And Khidr is constantly like, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention to what this is really all about.
yes,
So I always thought about all those other stories as examples of exactly what you say. Is it the point that we have to envision some kind of a vehicle, a creature that the prophet is somehow riding through air or something on his nightly journey? That's exactly not the point at all. That's completely irrelevant.
yes,
It's that journey, as you say, and that he reaches that point. And the same, and that's when I thought of this scene. It's like, oh well, this one is quintessentially exactly that.
yes,
Removing the fire, the greatest spectacle out
yes,
of it all. That's the thing, that the principle is always there, the same principle, as you say, the core.
yeah,
And in that orientation, because you mentioned this kind of, the Sufism and the burning and all that. Burning is very central to Sufism,
yes,
but it's the burning of the inessential stuff. That you burn off that which is not essential in order to get to the core. So,
mm,
so, uh, so I always thought of. I think that this is prominent in many discussions, that both Moses alayhi salam and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that they, in order for him to be able to approach the tree and hear the voice, and for Muhammad to have that night journey, the Miraj, they
yes,
had to burn a lot before that. They had to kind of really go through all kinds of fires, ordeal, and so on,
yeah,
and to remove all that, to be able to get that access, uh,
yes,
which no one else had, in a
yes,
sense, that kind of ultimate kind of law, that act of law, that direct communication,
Yes, I love that part of the crucible.
the
You
crucible.
know, the crucible is a beautiful part. This is Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, I mean, like,
Yes, of course,
you know,
of course.
in a big way. You know, there is the fire, the big fire, and right
Yes,
inside of the
yes,
fire.
was thrown into the
You
fire.
know, yeah, you know. So, but that is exactly the whole idea of the and the way that you describe it of a burning off the elements, the outside, the worst parts of it, or to purify, to put it this way.
Mhm.
And I love the purification, you know, and that is what Sufism is. Sufism, I mean, like everybody gets obsessed of the dhikr, and all of those types of elements, you know, and you must do it for 4 days, you know, and you in a tight room, you know, you must remain and then focus only on Allahu. That's it. That's one of the lessons, eh? And these are good lessons in many ways. But along many of those Sufism, they're missing the fact that your actual life is been teaching you, and where you're getting a stroke, or you get knocked down by a car by chance, you know, or you lose your job, you know. These are the engagements, you know. These are the fires that have happened, you know. And the point is, the loss of my sister that just died now more than 2 weeks ago. You know, dear friend of the dear sister of mine, 5 years older than me. You know, and we grew up together, and we used to cook together. You know, you do baklava, you know, and a whole range of things like that. And it's gone, but at the same time, we're holding on so much, you know. And I don't have to. At one level, it broke my heart. At another level, she's on a journey, you know. And we've invested so much, you know. I'm not going to get lost by the spectacle of it all, of
Yes,
saying, this is her name, and please celebrate her on my heart, on my mind, on my heart, please. And because of the name of the niece and nieces and nephews. No, that's not the point. This is what she did. Read it, take it, go with it, take it with you, you know. And that's it's on the tree that was firing. It was saying, "Come here," okay. But it's not the fire. It's And let me tell you this. This is the inspiration.
yes,
This is the orientation. This is the Qibla. You know, hold on to that Qibla.
yes,
And wherever you go, take the Qibla with you. You
yes,
don't have to basically, where exactly is the Kaaba again? No. The Kaaba should actually be absorbed inside of you. And it should take you wherever you are, no matter what happens, where you get picked up and arrested by the police. Don't let go of your orientation. The orientation is there. Nothing gets lost. No matter what it is that they do, whether they interrogate you, it doesn't matter. And this is where we come from. I mean, you come from Bosnia, and all of what it was lost. But at the same time, there is so much inside of it. Yes, there was firing, there was a burn, there was something else got burnt. But maybe, inshallah, maybe it's a mercy inside of it too. I mean, like, that is my struggling from apartheid in South Africa. It's not. There's a lot of things happening in our country right now. There's so much that these politicians must be. But I'm not going to get lost of the process. Must I break my heart about this and say, I mean, like, these terrible politicians? No, I'm saying I must I've got my Qibla, and I'm going. I've been inspired. I've been read. I've written on this. I've experienced this. I have lessons about this. I'm other people that I'm connected to that I love, that love me, and I love them. And I love this country, and I love this continent. I love this Africa, and we'll move. We'll take that with us. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what happens in my country. It doesn't matter what happens in Joburg. None of these things matter really. What actually matters is what I have, and what is within my fuad, or my qalb. That's where it is. It's the center, you know. But the Quran, because in that story, it shifted the center. Don't get lost. It's not about, the fire is important. I'm glad you came. Yes, alhamdulillah, welcome. However, that's how it works, you know. And then you are here for the encounter. That's what you are here for, you know. I mean, like, this is why I love the fact that he wanted, despite the fact that he actually had the divine spoke to him, really. He should have been completely absorbed in that. But
Yes.
he
Yes.
also didn't get lost in that. So that, I mean, like, the next engagement was Khidr, you know? I mean, he could have asked, speak to me once more, tell me straight,
Yeah.
you know? No. The whole point of wanting a different level higher, you must actually travel. And once you get there, I'm going to give you some very three cryptic engagements. And you must hold your, yes, you're going to be angry and you're going to say, how can you just kill this man? And why must we build up that wall? I mean, like, nobody gave us anything, you know, and why you are putting a hole
In the boat.
in the ship, you know? I mean, what the, you know? The point is, I'm going to tell you after all of this, I'm going to tell you the stories, but walk with me first,
Yeah.
you know. And it's that. It's meeting my friend, who I told you that's like my mom, right? And her mind is going all over the place. She's asking me to walk with her. That's what she's asking. So I must walk with her.
Yes.
Whether I understand or whether I can remember what exactly from what point she's talking about, that's not the point. The point is, I must walk with her and listen to her. And that is what Allah has been saying in that listen, I'm talking, my voice, listen to that.
Yes.
Or listen to engagement, or listen to what's been written. Listen, then take it with you. You know, that was the point. So, shukran so much. The fact that you
Okay.
actually, yeah, I mean, like, even though, I mean, like, I could have found this whole engagement of Musa at another period, but it would have taken me longer to get
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Thank God you just did those too few lines in this paragraph in Facebook, and it just you blew me away. And
Oh,
even
thank you.
now,
Thank you. Well,
and I'm
you too, when you responded, because I was, driven by curiosity. I was thinking, and well, instead of just keeping it to myself and going around and, mulling over it and so on, I said, you know what? I just need to throw it out there. I have friends, they are also thinking about these things. I need to share this.
yeah,
Uh, Immediately. So I shouldn't like go around and find the right answers and then just write the answers. I think
yeah,
I need conversation. I need communication, and so that's and so just that being, because sometimes we are in this world, as we need to produce, and something needs to be ready. It needs to be kind of perfect before you show it. Otherwise it's kind of, you fear criticism, you fear this and that. But I learned, like, if I open up a bit with my insecurity, because I'm on this journey as well. He took a risk to approach the fight, like, well, I don't know. I'm curious. I know something, but there's a lot I don't know. And then, you never know what will trigger someone else. But, when you write something and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I know. I go around and think about it for days. And for me, that was the whole purpose. So when you started responding there, and then other people, flock to it, and they look like, oh, what's going on here? These two dudes,
Yeah,
was
exactly.
the sweet,
Yeah,
the South African,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's something weird. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. But thank you so much, Adley. This was so nice to talk to you like this, and I hope everyone else will enjoy our conversation. We did, I admit, we did move around a lot, uh,
Yes.
which is the whole point, as you said. No, we went in many directions, but we kept coming back to the right orientation. As you said, I'm going to cherish that word a lot. It's
Thank,
really important. Bless you, Jazakallah khairan.
thank you so much. I say, shukran for this opportunity. I'm like, in fact, sometimes somebody asks the question, and as you answer, and it just comes through it, I loved those type of engagements, and I'm glad that that when you responded to that, of all the various elements and brought it all together. Our last discussion, or rather, one of the things that you shared to me was on noon, the
Yes.
disjointed
Yeah.
letters,
Yes. Yes.
and again,
Yeah.
you explained it as the universe, of an entire one letter, and I've still holding on, to that inspiration. So shukran so
Oh,
much.
shukran, shukran jazilan. And may God bless you and your family and all of you. I mean, just the fact that you shared all these intimate stories with me and everyone is, I think, is so valuable. Mm.
So much. Enjoy your day and wonderful and your work that you're doing about love.
Yeah.
Wonderful connection. I'm glad you started with that part.
Good.
Shukran.
Shukran.